Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Yeah, just take a look. Hang on a bit. Um, there. You see there? Yeah. So I'll come back to that in just a moment. But I do want to say good morning to Stan Coind over in Indiana. I'm going to say good morning to Manpower Demolition, who are also in the States. I think States, Canada. I think the States. I'm not entirely sure. Ryan Lee's here as well. We've also got the usual suspects in Ken Hatter has just arrived. Good morning, Ken. Peter McKenna was here at some ridiculous hour. When was he here? 12:21 last night. And apparently couldn't sleep. Let's have a look. Who else do we have in our midst? Mark Whiting's here. Jim Turner is here. Chris Ford is here. Good morning, heroes of demolition. Yes, and everybody else. Good morning to you all. And Peter says YouTube on Android and YouTube on the TV, and there's an 8-second delay. Weird. Yeah. Well, I've got. What have I got? I've got Twitch down there. I've got YouTube there, and I've got Instagram there, and they're all running at different paces. It's a bizarre thing. It's one of the reasons that things tend to go not wrong, but it's very hard to keep up with the chat because sometimes you guys are commenting on something that's been and gone. If you know what I mean. Peter McKenna says, "Has your wife bought you a Lord title for your birthday?" No, she hasn't, but someone did. Bear with me. You see that? Let me get it so you can see it. Yes, certificate of title. Prestige titles do hereby certify the change of title to Lord Mark Sean Anthony. I am a lord, and I have one person to thank for that. Well, I say one person, it's probably a family actually. The Muirheads, the clan Muirhead, made me a lord. Now, I've always said, if well, back in the days of the Queen, if the Queen had phoned me up and said, "Earmark," because that's how she used to speak, "Earmark, we've got a national honour here for you, an OBE or an MBE or a knighthood." My plan was always to say, "No, you're all right, thanks. No, not for me. No, not interested." Not a huge amount of respect for the royal family, but I do have an enormous amount of respect for Messrs. Gary and Christine and all the other Muirheads. I am, as you can see, I'm wearing it on as a badge now. I'm absolutely blown away with that. I am now just a. Apparently, I can't put it on my passport, but trust me, it's going to be appearing quite a bit. Morning, your lordship. Yes, I mean, henceforth, if you would care to treat me, with due deference. I was planning to wear the ermine this morning, but apparently the ermine is at the dry cleaners, my wife tells me. Peter McKenna says, Lord Mark Anthony, basically you own a piece of land that you can't do anything with. You can just about stand in it. Love the title bit, though. Yep, that's the bit that I'm interested in. Yes, I just to keep you informed, I need to be done and dusted here by 11 because my bag is literally sat outside the door here, and I'm literally going to finish the show, walk out. There won't be a recap today or anything like that. I'm going to walk out, pick my bag up, go to the train station because I'm off to Leeds, and I don't have time to hang about today. So yes, that's the plan. In slightly sadder news, perhaps not unexpected, but sadder news. Who was it? I think it was Peter McKenna actually gave me the heads up on this to say that Gene Hackman probably. I realise these things are entirely subjective, but probably the most reliable actor of all time. Back in the days of Blockbuster and video shops, go down to the local Blockbuster shop, which is just down the road from where I'm sat now, and you'd walk in there. Oh, what do we fancy? What do we fancy? And I can guarantee, if you saw that Gene Hackman was in a movie, even if the movie was crap, you knew damn well that Gene Hackman was going to be bloody excellent. Obviously, Popeye Doyle from The French Connection, Little Bill from The Unforgiven, absolutely fantastic actor. Sad to see him go, but 95, good innings, I would say. Ed Butler has just joined us. Morning, Ed. Good morning to you. Good morning, Mark, and to you all. Yes, good morning to you as well. I now know 2 lords. My other mate doesn't half rub it in there. Well, I plan to as well. Peter McKenna says he was a fantastic actor. Superman was one of the most memorable actors. Yes, he was Lex Luthor back in Christopher Reeve Day. Yeah, absolutely. What do we got? And there's Gary saying, "Good morning, Ed." Yeah, good to see you back, Ed. I guess you've been very, very busy. What is it? 6 weeks until I bump into you again at Balmer. Looking forward to catching up with you and Steve for that. Anyway, it is time. As I say, I'm on on a bit of a schedule today, so it is time. Without further ado, we're going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show, when I can find the right button, on the road. It is Thursday, the 27th of February. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony, the Walrus of Demolition, the Lord of Live Streaming. I don't know why I prolonged that, but yeah, there you are. In today's show, Develon aims high in Demolition. Liebherr demonstrates its autonomy prowess. Got materials? Well, Atlas can handle them, and why the new Holland backhoe loader is well worth a second look. Plus, in my morning monologue today, demolition and construction caught in the crosshairs of criminals. That's what we've got coming up. But before we get to all of that, we've got the small matter of today's mystery machine, which is the decider for the month. Dan Cullen and myself are on level pegging going into the final day. I'll show you what machine you've got to decipher in just a moment. Yeah, all comes down to this. This is what they refer to in football terms as a 6-pointer. It's the last day of the season, and whoever gets this one walks away with the championship. Here we go. This is what you need to identify. Now, I'll make it very clear, I have not played around with the colour scheme on this. This is as it came. So see what you can come up with on that. What have we got? Yeah, I'll come back to that in just a moment. Peter McKenna says, I can't enter. I want to see how good Mandangle really is. He's very good. No, he really is very good. Let me take that away because I do need to remind you of our question of the day, which looks like this. Yeah, our mystery machine, our question of the day again comes from Gary Muirhead, and his question is this: what is your favourite line from a movie? Now, as Gary has suggested, we're going to need a bigger boat from your favourite movie, Mark. Yeah, well, I've actually got written down here. That would have been my go-to, but I was thinking about it. Maybe that's a bit too obvious. But does anyone remember? There was a film called McVicker. It was a largely true story about a hardened criminal, escaped convict, and he was played in the movie by Roger Daltrey from The Who. And there's one scene in it where, as I say, he's a hardened criminal, bit of a tough guy, and he's about to be beaten up by about 6 prison guards, all armed with truncheons. And he delivers a line that stuck with me forever. And the line is, I know I'm going to lose here, but I'll be the best in second you've ever seen. Imagine having the balls to say that in real life. That is what we're saying. Good morning to Manpower Demolition, who just said, morning, my friend. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Remind me, whereabouts in North America are you? I can never remember. Peter McKenna, question of the day. I can't even remember what I had for dinner 3 nights ago. I'm actually useless at remembering stuff from films or TV. I can watch a movie 30 times and not remember now. My wife is exactly the same. In actual fact, she's often forgotten what she's watching before we get to the end of the film. Gary Muirhead, Show Me the Money. Cuba Gooding Jr. and Tom Cruise, obviously, in Jerry Maguire. Show Me the Money. That's the same movie as You Complete Me, isn't it? I think it is. If somebody could help me out. I was trying to come up, and I was doing this on the fly, I was trying to come up with an immortal line from a Gene Hackman movie, but I've got nothing. I can't think of anything. Manpower Demolition, main office is in Toronto. Good stuff. Good stuff. But they've also broken through in the United States. Good for you, fellas. Good for you. Take the Americans by storm, which I kind of wish the Canadians would do a little bit more of. Just saying. Now there's a cracker. Have you brought a tool? What fucking tool? That's scum, right? I think it is. Okay, let me take that away. Gary Muirhead. I'm not going to do my Al Pacino impression because, frankly, it sounds nothing like him. But say hello to my little friend from Scarface. Absolute belter. Question of the day. Guy Ritchie's finest snatch. Plenty of classic lines quoted. Yeah, and also Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels as well. There's a great one in there. Could everyone just please stop getting shot? I thought that was particularly good. Let me show you the mystery machine because we do have a guess on that. Dan Cullen reckons it could be a Bobcat skid steer. It's not a Bobcat, I'm afraid. Let me show you a smidge more. There you are. It has some tracks. See what you can come up with on that. Need to crack on. As I say, the time is marching on. So let's get things underway, shall we? Just going to say a very quick shout out to Atacama Earthworks, who have just joined us over on Instagram. Yes, it is time to show you a bit of Develon high reach action. Looks like this. Nice looking machine. Dan, I'm glad you've clarified who it is, but he says this. Question of the day. Looking for movie quotes, and he says, if you came here expecting rainbows, unicorns, safe spaces, and correctness, you are in for a rude awakening. Clint Eastwood. Which movie is that? Which movie is that? And Dan Cullen also says, I tried being reasonable, but I don't like it. Clint Eastwood again. Clint Eastwood. I mean, the whole Dirty Harry. This is a Magnum 44, probably the most powerful handgun in the world. The whole of that, I think, is absolutely fantastic. What movie is that? Chasing Rainbows or Looking for Rainbows thing? Dan, love to hear from you. Let me show you a bit more of our mystery machine, shall I? There you are. There's a smidgen more. As you can see, it's a high drive, elevated sprocket. For those that are that way inclined. You got any guesses on that? Please let me know in the chat. Ken Hatcher. I have to say, it is a good one. What's up, Doc? Yeah, can't go wrong with a bit of Bugs Bunny. Yeah, it's a classic line for good reason. We're going to be back in just a moment. We're going all autonomous with Liebherr.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Yeah, you might recall that back end of last year, Fred and I came back from Mine Expo in Las Vegas, raving about all things Liebherr, electric, autonomous, dump trucks and the thing. This is why we were raving. So, just to show how this show just kind of knits itself together, that was Fortescue Mining. Most of you will probably realise that Fortescue Mining are based in Australia. Our friends Atacama Earthworks just said, hi from Australia. Big fan. Well, as of this morning, Atacama Earthworks, I'm a big fan of you. Garvin of Mostly Diggers has joined us as well. And I can tell you that we have, this is throwing a spanner in the works. I can tell you we actually have a winner of our mystery machine. And it's not me. And it's not Dan Cullen. So, Dan, it's a draw. It's a dead heat. Let me show you. That's the machine we were looking for. And Peter McKenna has correctly identified it as a Takuchi. What is it? It's a TL12V2. That's what that is. And I'll prove it to you. There we are. Quite this color scheme. But there you are. That's what it looks like. So, Peter, you have just made this month a draw. Dan, I'll still dig you a prize out because I don't deserve one. But I think I owe you 4 now, so we do need to get together fairly soon. Going back to our question of the day. What do we got here? Peter McKenna saying Superman. Oh, we're going back to combining question of the day, favorite movie line, and we've also got Gene Hackman as well. There's a strong streak of good in you, Superman, but nobody's perfect. Almost nobody. Harry Call, the conversation. I'm not afraid of death, but I'm afraid of murder. Don't remember that one, but yeah, good stuff. Chris Ford, got an absolute batch of them here. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. I'll be back. Obviously, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll have what she's having. That is When Harry Met Sally. Meg Ryan doing the thing. I Am the Law. I Am the Law. Is that Judge Dredd? Could be. When you're in space, nobody can hear you scream. Absolutely. That's obviously Alien. And that's all, folks, which is the Looney Tunes sign-off. Love all of those. Going back to the Australian mine, Fortescue, there's Ken Hatcher saying, that's a setup. Oh, man, live is it ever. GPS at its finest. Ed Butler saying, I'd love to get a go on one of those big toys. Yeah, absolutely. And Dan Cullen saying, give this month's prize to Peter. It's very generous of you. I will do what I will do what I can. Peter, I will need your address and I'll dig you something out. And Ryan Lee over on Instagram reckons that his favorite movie quote, it's a fantastic movie, From Dusk Till Dawn, and his line is, pussy, pussy, pussy. I don't actually remember that, but I've got a funny feeling I know who says it. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. Has anyone ever seen From Dusk Till Dawn? I have a funny feeling that they started out making a heist movie and then kind of ran out of ideas and went, do you know what would be funny? We'll have some vampires. Because the movie's going in one direction at one point and it goes in a completely different one. What I will say, though, Salma Hayek in From Dusk Till Dawn. Oh, question of the day. Any saying that came from Kelly's Heroes? You were watching that the other day, I think, if I remember rightly. There's thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've probably got a T-shirt here for you if that's something you'd like. Jimmy McGinty in The Replacements. I look at you and I see 2 men, the man you are and the man you ought to be. Someday those 2 men will meet and it should make for one hell of a football player. Don't know that one. Don't know that one at all. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Goldfinger. Yes, absolutely fantastic. And Peter, I'm cheating with these quotes. Not surprised at all. Egg but no bird on this again on this month of the Mystery Machine. Dan Cullen is on a bit of a roll, I have to say. Although obviously today Peter McKenna stole it out from under his nose and out from under mine as well. We're doing Atlas in just a moment after this.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Yeah, Garvin's just reminded me of an absolute corker from Crocodile Dundee. That's not a knife. That's not enough. This is enough. Fantastic. Great movie, and a great line as well. Gran Torino. Again, Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood films are largely made up of quotable things, aren't they? I'll blow a hole in your face and go inside and sleep like a baby. Gran Torino, Clint Eastwood. The other one I think that's very, very good. We mentioned it the other day. Tombstone. I'll be your Huckleberry and stuff like that. But I remember Kurt Russell delivering the line, "I'll turn your head into a canoe." That's a good one. Keep those coming if you would be so kind. Now, here's a company that we don't feature particularly often. It's one of those that kind of went away and then came back and then kind of went away and then kind of came back. And it's Atlas. We should feature them more because they do stuff like this. Yeah, look, I'll come back to Chris in just a moment. Best film I watched him in when the year I was born, 1972, won the Oscar for his role as Detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection. It's an absolute stormer of a film. I always feel like that was a bit of a turning point. It was, I think we'd have sort of the cops and robbers thing in the past and what have you, but that was it brought a new degree of grit. And it's an absolute film. Didn't realise it was 1972 though. I was 7 years old when that came out. Thought Atlas had gone years ago. Well, they did, and then they came back, and then they went away again, and now they are. I think they're Atlas Weyhausen. I think the product range has whittled down quite a bit. Jim Turner says, "Dying ain't much of a living," or something like that. Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Mr. Governor, someone has broken into my toilet. Do you kill people for a living? Not very good at it, are you? There's some good ones there. Dan Cullen saying, "Cool video." That's Atlas. What have we got coming up? I know we've got some more cool video. New Holland backhoe loader in just a moment. Peter, thank you very much indeed for sending me your address. I won't have a chance to do it today, but I'm around tomorrow. No, I'm not. I'm around Saturday. So when I get back from Leeds, I will sort you a prize out and I'll get it off to your address post haste, if not sooner. Yes, I promised you backhoe loaders from New Holland, and you shall have precisely that. I think that's a pretty sexy looking backhoe loader. What do you reckon? Dan Cullen. Now, I've never heard of this one in my life. Question of the day. You are two penises short of Shania Twain's reimagination band, Nick and Noah's Infinite Playing, 2008. I don't know the movie, don't know the reference, but I like it. Two penises short. Like it. We've got one more proper film to show you, which is another of the companies that we're going to be working with over at Balmer. Back after this.
We do, I doubt it. We've got the energy, we'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, I think part of our Tuesday, we're with Liebherr on the Sunday and the Monday. I think we're seeing Wacker on the Monday afternoon, but we are spending some time with Bobcat on the Tuesday of Balmer. And this is just something that Bobcat do. Sorry, I was just reading the suggestions on all things related to our question of the day. Favorite movie lines. Dan, I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass. Buzz McAllister, Home Alone. I don't remember. I obviously know Home Alone, and I know what Buzz looks like. I don't remember the line, but it's an absolute belter. And Dan also comes up with, "I'm so glad he's single because I'm going to climb that like a tree." Melissa McCarthy. Has anyone ever seen? I don't even know what the movie is. I know Paul Rudd's in it, but there's a blooper where Melissa McCarthy is just basically freestyling, and she does threaten to turn around and kick somebody with her foot bone. So it's a very, very good one. Mate in America said, I like Bob's cat. I said, it's Bobcat. He said, listen while you say it. Yeah, he's right. Bobcat. Okay. Yes, I do need to say a very quick thank you to the fine folks at MB Crusher for sponsoring our ongoing series of Mission to Munich. Thank you, MB Crusher.
Hey, turn this TV off. Ain't want my type activity, but don't you get involved. Hey, what? How many shit I seen? Send them off. Take a risk or take a trip. You know I'm tripping for my dog.
Yeah, now that is about it for the main part of today's show. It's the main part, or the main. It's everything. Today is my last day for this week and for this month. There is no show tomorrow. No show tomorrow because I will be in Leeds among the great and the good and some of the not so good of the demolition industry. I will be at the Institute of Demolition Engineers to listen along and obviously to hang out with John Woodward and Mike Keogh and Adrian McLean and people like that. So no show tomorrow. So that's it. We're done for the week, done for the month, done for everything else. So I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into my morning monologue. If you can't stick around for that, then do please stay safe. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. And I hope to see you again very, very soon indeed. Ideally Monday, that would be good. But if you do have the time and the inclination, I will be right back after... I will do the morning monologue in a moment, but I do have to do this. Dan Cullen, this is from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries. John Cleese, yeah, as one of the Frenchmen. Facing down the knights who say ni, if I remember rightly. Dan says, have a safe journey, and Gary Muirhead, safe travels, my friend. Lord Anthony was a brand of clothing particularly popular in the UK during the 1970s and 80s. Do you know, now you've said that, I'm fairly sure that my original school blazer was Lord Anthony. We had a shop in Sutton, which is where I was at the time. By the time I was 11, there was a shop called Dunco, and I'm fairly sure I had. They used to sell Lord Anthony stuff, but they also sold Van Heusen shirts. Anyone remember Van Heusen shirts? I'm fairly sure Ronald Reagan was actually one of their models back in the day, although I may have stolen that from Frankie Goes to Hollywood song. It's a whole other story. Anyway, it is time. It is time for the morning monologue. Contrary to popular belief, most of the people working within the demolition and construction industry are hardworking, honest, and law abiding, which makes all that I'm about to say so much harder to say and so much harder to swallow. All too often, the industry and those that work within it find themselves cast in the role of victim. They're victims of costly shifts in government policy, of unexpected and unnecessary pivots in legislation, and of being an easy scapegoat when the environmental lobby seeks a soft target. But far worse than that, they are the victims of real, genuine, and actual criminality, almost as a matter of course. Equipment, tools, and even fuel are stolen on an almost daily basis. Work vans filled with thousands of pounds of specialist tools are prime targets for thieves. If the value of any kind of scrap metal rises, instances of scrap theft increase exponentially. And sadly, some of those thefts are perpetrated by employees themselves, betraying the industry and the very company that puts food on their table. Construction sites are targeted by thieves, vandals, arsonists, and so-called urban explorers who see a half-built structure or an active demolition site as their playground. And these are not just petty crimes. Each theft, each act of destruction has tangible and sometimes devastating consequences. Projects are delayed. Workers are left without the tools to do their jobs. Small businesses struggle to recover from losses that insurance rarely covers in full. Beyond physical theft and vandalism, demolition and construction companies are increasingly the victims of sophisticated cybercrime. Some criminals attempt to extract money fraudulently by raising spurious invoices for non-existent products and services. Others go to great lengths to steal heavy machinery, creating fictitious companies, hiring expensive equipment, and then making both the machines and themselves disappear into thin air. And now, as if that weren't enough, there's a sharp rise in waste crime. Seemingly legitimate companies charge for supposedly legal waste disposal, only for that waste to be dumped illegally in a country lane, an abandoned warehouse, or on a motorway hard shoulder. The demolition company that originally hired the waste disposal firm suddenly finds itself legally responsible for cleaning up the mess, even though it was no fault of their own. In each and every instance, thieves and criminals are emboldened by the apparent disinterest of the police. Reports are filed, case numbers are signed, but the follow-ups are few and far between. We live in an age where people will quite calmly walk into a shop, help themselves to goods, and then stroll out without paying because they know no one will stop them. For the general public, that criminality results in higher prices as retailers seek to recoup their losses. In the demolition and construction industry, it means skyrocketing insurance premiums, ever-increasing costs for additional site security, and a complete breakdown in trust. But the worst part of all of this is that the real victims of this criminality are the honest, hard-working, and law-abiding people who keep the industry running. The chippy who wakes up to find his van has been broken into overnight by some good-for-nothing thief, who has made off with tools amassed over years that are worth a small fortune and that may also carry some sentimental value too. The excavator operator who arrives on site to find that the diesel has been siphoned out of his machine, rendering him unable to work until he can get refueled. The site manager who arrives in the morning only to find the charred remains of his site office still smoking from an overnight arson attack. This level of criminality has become so vast, so widespread, and so pervasive that it's spawned an entirely new business sector. There are now companies that specialize in tracking down stolen plant and machinery, companies that monitor stolen fuel, and companies that fit GPS devices to equipment in the hope of recovering it before it disappears forever. But all of these companies and all of these solutions are reactive. They don't prevent equipment or fuel from being stolen. They merely help identify what was already they really they merely help identify what has already been taken in the often unlikely event that it's recovered by an increasingly overworked, overstretched, understaffed, and underfunded police force. And so, as I said at the outset, demolition and construction companies find themselves more than ever cast in the role of victim. And for them, there is no crime prevention helpline. There's no dedicated police squad investigating these crimes. And tragically, there's no end in sight either. There you are. Peter McKenna says, shame someone's beat you to a construction name. Lord Anthony Services. Really? And apparently there is Bell and Sebastian. Remember them? There is a song called Lord Anthony. Let's not stray too far. I don't think he is a lord anymore, but Lord Anthony Bamford. I realise his is a Christian name and mine is a surname, but yeah, listen, I can see Lord Anthony catching on. People out there, please. Is it your grace? Do you have to refer to me as your grace or your lordship? I'll take either. I'm not proud. But yes, thank you very much. Well, thank you for all of that. But thank you in particular to Gary Muirhead and his good lady wife and his offspring. I am way happier with that than I can possibly tell you. My daughter, my youngest daughter, Courtney, bought herself. How vain is she? She bought herself a title. She is, and this was before they changed the regulations. If you look at my daughter's passport, she is listed as Lady Courtney Anthony. Yeah, yeah. And I think she put it on her passport while she still could, in the vain hope that somebody would see it and think, yes, she's worthy of an upgrade on an aeroplane. Never happened. Never happened. Although she did spend her formative years with bright pink hair, and she now has more tattoos than most people have ever seen. So maybe that does away with the idea of an upgrade. Dan Cullen says, yes, my lord, my sweet lord. George Harrison, thank you very much. Anyway, people, I do need to literally cut and run. I will be back on Monday, probably with tales to tell from the wilds of Leeds. Just very quickly. I don't care. I'm going to come across as really stingy now, and sometimes I can be. So, when I was invited, Adrian McLean, the incumbent president of the Institute of Demolition Engineers, invited me to their spring seminar, which is taking place at the Royal Armouries in Leeds tomorrow. And I'll go along. I'm happy to support Adrian. He's a guy I like and respect a lot, so I'll go along. So I left it a couple of weeks, and I thought, well, best sort out my travel. So I had a look at the train, and the train, even booking well in advance, and this is going back a good 6-7 weeks, I guess. Booking a train, not first class, just an average train with a seat reservation, was going to cost me about 130 quid. Couldn't get up in the morning because I would arrive too late, so I was going to have to go up before. And went on to booking.com and various other places. And basically, my train journey was going to be 130 quid. And the first hotel that I found was 70 quid a night. Second one I found was £65 a night. So I was looking at basically forking out 200 quid without even eating anything. 200 quid to get me there and back. So I thought, well, maybe I should drive then. 100 quid of fuel will get me there and back. Thereabouts, 110 quid should get me there and back. It's a long drive. It's quite tiring and stuff, but maybe I'll do that. And then I remembered I did this years ago, and I went up to Leeds for another IDE event, and I went by bus. And I had a very quick look, and I found National Express. And National Express were doing a return. Well, A single trip from London to Leeds, Victoria Station up to Leeds, was 12 quid. And from Leeds back to Victoria, 12 quid. So £24. Which I thought was absolutely fine. I thought, well, I was actually doing this while I was out and about. I thought when I get back and I'm sat in front of a computer, I'll book that. Anyway, when I got back, I thought, I'll have a very quick look. There is a company called Flixbus, Flix Bus. Their buses are bright green, very, very distinctive. And they go from exactly the same place, Victoria Coach Station. And they could do London to Leeds, 9 quid each way, which set me off. I've got to be honest, it set me off. I thought, well, I can get there and back for 18 quid. I wonder what I can find. So I went on to Airbnb, couldn't find anything much in Airbnb that was close enough to get me around. Went back to booking.com. There is an Ibis budget hotel, and they're fine. It's only somewhere to sleep. I don't really give a toss. Somewhere to sleep. 35 quid. Discounted to 29. So I am basically going there and back and a hotel night, a night in a hotel rather, for under 50 quid. Under 50 quid. Unbelievable stuff. I'm so pleased about that. As I say, I don't realise it's now. I do realise, when I've got a journey of about 4.5 hours on the coach, but I don't care. The laptop will be open. I'll have my headphones on. I'll be watching a movie, watching the world go by. I might have a doze. Let somebody else take care of the journey. How bad is that? And then tomorrow, I think about 5 o'clock after the seminar is over, jump back on the coach and they bring me back home again. Yeah, I've got to be honest. I'm looking at doing a bit more of that. Funnily enough, I do need to go to Scotland for many reasons, most of which is to see Gary face to face. I've looked at this many, many times. Again, the overnight sleeper, which is something I've always wanted to do on the train, quite expensive. I can do it. I can do London to Glasgow on a bus for about 15 quid. The problem is it takes about 9 hours, and 9 hours is a long while on a coach. But, I've got nothing better to do. As I said, I don't care if I come across as stingy. I don't need to be in Leeds until tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So I can take as long as I like today. Just pack up here, jump on a bus and let somebody else take care of it. Good stuff. Well done. What about the sleeper train to Scotland? You still up for it? I am still up for it. I am trying desperately hard to hook up. There's a couple of things I need to do in Scotland. One of which, I don't know if Gary is still here, but one of which is the top-down way is now in Glasgow and it's being used. I think it's actually starting work today. I can't remember exactly where it is, but it is starting work. Peter says, Flixbus is a German budget travel company, same as Megabus here in the UK. Yeah, they are. Absolutely are. They are. And Jim Turner says, the Royal Armouries is a fantastic place to visit. I think I've probably been there about 8 or 9 times and I've never once looked around the armouries. I literally arrived the night before, hotel, something to eat, go to bed. Wake up the following day, seminar, bugger off home. Never had a look round. Maybe I will get around to that one of these days. And Dan says, have a great weekend, guys. Guys, stay safe, look after your family. Hug them, tell them what they mean to you daily and nightly. And might see you on the train, Mark. Well, you never know. You never, ever know. Yes, I'm heading into London in about 15 minutes or thereabouts. So until then, everybody, until Monday, have a fantastic weekend. Thank you once again, Gary. Thank you for all the birthday wishes yesterday. Thank you for the birthday gifts, which were abundant. I'm meeting up with my family. Everyone was at work yesterday, myself included. So on Sunday this week, I'll be meeting up with the famille, and we'll be having a bit of a shindig on that. So I'll be here bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and probably filled to the brim with food on Monday. And Gary says, looking forward to welcoming you to Scotland. I'm looking forward to coming. It's been too long, far too long. Not been to Scotland for 2 years. Last time I was up there was in Edinburgh with Chris Charlton, seeing that old bank building coming down. Need to get back. Need to speak to Safedem about getting up to see the top-down way doing its thing, because I've not been up that for a few months either. Anyway, people, that will do us for today. Go and have a fantastic day if you would be so kind. Look after yourselves. I'll see you Monday. Till then, have a great weekend. All the best.